Hiya folks, Gord Pyzer here for Northeastern Ontario Tourism. Going to give you some tips today that will let you make longer casts, longer than you ever thought possible, more accurate casts than you thought possible, allow you to catch more and bigger fish, and when you buy line, when you buy new line, premium line, going to let you stretch your dollars so that you can take that new spool of line and use it in ways you never thought possible. So you stick with me, and I'm going to show you how to do all of those things very, very easily. So what's the problem that we're trying to solve? The problem is, and I get the opportunity over the course of a season to fish with many, many folks, and every time someone new's getting in the boat with me in advance, I always tell them, listen, bring along your favorite spinning rod or your favorite bait caster, and the other thing I'll most always say is make sure your line's fresh. Now, here's the problem. When they show up, I look at their lines or I look at their reels, and they're only half spooled. Sometimes they're only a quarter spooled if they've got a high capacity reel. You need your spool, whether it's a spinning reel or a bait casting reel, it has to be fully spooled. Just so when you put your thumb on it, your thumb's laying right on it. Now, here's the problem. Think of the core of your spool on either your spinning reel or your bait casting reel. If you've only got your reel half spooled or a quarter spooled, if I make a long cast and it's got all this line on it here, my spool only has to move half as many times as yours does. Yours has to move twice as far, twice as many revolutions to get the same distance. And the reality is you can't do it. Because of the friction when you make that cast, you can't get the distance if you've only got your reel half spooled. The other problem is that friction really affects your accuracy. And if you're not making long, precise, accurate casts, you're not catching as many fish as you could or you should. So what's the solution? I'm glad you asked. Okay, so what's the solution? The solution is, most of us these days, we're using super lines. We're using braided lines for our bait casters, and we're using gel spun lines for our spinning reels. Now, the spool is very, very slick, and our lines are very, very slick. So problem number one is never take a braided line or a gel spun line and try and put it directly on that smooth spool. What you always, always want to do is take monofilament or fluorocarbon line and lay down what we call backing. So at least half fill your reel, at least half to 2/3 fill your reel with an inexpensive monofilament or an inexpensive fluorocarbon line. All right, when we're attaching our braided lines on the bait casters and our gel spun on our spinning reels, the best knot to use is a back-to-back uni knot. So 2 uni knots, and you pull it tight and then snip them very, very closely. Now, here's the deal. We've got monofilament or fluorocarbon. 2/3 to half the reel is spooled with inexpensive line. Now we can take our expensive premium braid or expensive premium gel spun and use it to fill it right up to the max. When you do that, it allows you to take that reel, that spool of line, and you can now spool 3 rods, 3 different reels with 1 service spool. And that's the neat thing about it. You're never, ever going to use in a cast 125 or 150 yards. So what I like to do is make a cast and a half, and that's what I put on. So the last cast and a half is my premium line, back-to-back uni knots, and then I wind it on so that my reel is fully spooled. When I do that, I can take that new line, I can take that service spool, and I can spool up 3 brand new reels, and I'm away to the races, fully spooled. I can make accurate casts, I can make precise casts, I'm going to catch more and bigger fish, and my money's going to stretch 2 to 3 times further than if I tried to put that whole spool of line onto my new reel. Now, here's how you can stretch your money even further. Good braided lines, good gel spun lines. If you're a recreational angler and you use it half a dozen, 15 times a year, I guarantee that line will last for at least 3 years. If you're out fishing every weekend, it's still going to last at least 2 years. 1 year is a gimme. It's going to always last at least a year, probably 2, and I'll bet you can get away with three years on that brand new braid or gel spun line. So 1, 2, 3 years from now, it's time to put new line on. Here's the deal. After you put the backing on, that mono or fluorocarbon backing, take the reel you've been using for the past year or two, attach back-to-back uni knots, and now pull the line off the reel you've been using so that when you put it on, it's going on in reverse. The part that you've been using for the past year or 2 years or 3 years is going to go right attached to the backing, and the line you've now got at the very end that you're going to be fishing with is brand new line that's never been in the water. So that one service spool of brand new braid or gel spun that you first put on 3 different reels, you can now put it on 3 different reels and use it for another 3 years. So you're going to get 4, 5, 6 years out of it. What it allows you to do is not penny pinch when it comes to buying. Buy the absolute best line possible. Some of that premium line, and do it the way that I've mentioned here. And again, you're going to make longer casts, you're going to be much more accurate, you're going to be able to drop a lure against a tree or against a rock, you're going to make longer casts, you're going to catch more and bigger fish, and you're going to save yourself a ton of money. You try it. Give it a try on the next time you're going to spool up your reels, and you're going to see this is the way to go.